The agricultural dome of Station Kepler 442b hummed with the steady rhythm of hydroponic pumps. Lucas knelt between rows of genetically modified potatoes, their purple-tinged leaves rustling under the artificial sunlight generated by fusion-powered panels overhead. His weathered hands worked methodically, checking each plant's nutrient intake through the translucent tubes that fed directly into their root systems. He didn't hear her approach, not at first. The thermal regulators masked most sounds, maintaining the precise 23.7 degrees Celsius required for optimal crop yield. But he felt the displacement of air, the slight drop in temperature that accompanied something large entering through the environmental airlock. Lucas straightened slowly, his knees protesting the movement. At 63 standard years, his body carried the weight of 4 decades spent in various gravity wells across human-colonized space. She stood at the dome's entrance, scales shimmering with an iridescent quality that suggested a body temperature several degrees above the ambient environment. A dragon, though that human word barely captured what she truly was. The xenobiologists called her species Draken vulcanus, silicon-based life forms from the volcanic moon of Typhon 7. She stood roughly 3 meters tall, bipedal, with vestigial wings that had long ago evolved away from flight in her species' high-gravity homeworld. But it was the small one clinging to her back that made Lucas pause. A juvenile, no larger than a human child, its scales still soft and translucent, revealing the complex network of silicon crystal structures that served as its skeletal system. "Excuse the intrusion, human," she said, her voice emanating from a translation device attached to what passed for her throat. The technology converted her species' electromagnetic frequency communications into human-audible sound waves. "I am SH Kara. My offspring requires sustenance. We've been traveling for 3 rotations without adequate mineral intake." Lucas noted the way she held herself, proud despite obvious exhaustion. The faint cracks in her scales indicated dehydration, a serious condition for silicon-based life forms who required specific mineral solutions to maintain cellular integrity. "You're far from the designated xenoquarters," Lucas observed, not unkindly. He pulled a scanning device from his tool belt, checking the atmospheric composition. "This dome isn't calibrated for your species' requirements. The oxygen-nitrogen mix alone could cause respiratory inefficiency." "I am aware." SH Kara's crest, a series of crystalline protrusions along her skull, dimmed slightly, a sign Lucas recognized as embarrassment from his years working alongside various species. "The station's xenoquarters are full. They directed us to emergency overflow, but the mineral synthesizers there are offline." "My child." She glanced back at the juvenile, whose scales had taken on a dull, grayish hue. "She cannot process human food. But I was told your potatoes contain trace minerals, magnesium, potassium, iron compounds. If we could divide your harvest?" Lucas studied them both for a long moment. Station regulations were clear. Agricultural resources were allocated strictly according to human nutritional requirements. The station's population of 15,000 humans depended on these crops. Sharing with unauthorized personnel, even in distress, violated at least 3 separate protocols that he thought of Luna. His daughter worked in the Xenobiology Research Division, 1 level down from where he stood. She'd spent her entire career advocating for better integration protocols, for recognition that species barriers mattered less than consciousness, than the fundamental dignity of sentient beings. "How much do you need?" Lucas asked. SH Kara's crest brightened. Surprise, relief. "I 2 kilograms would sustain us for several rotations until the synthesizers are repaired." "The potatoes won't help your child directly," Lucas said, already moving between the rows, selecting the largest specimens. "Wrong molecular structure." But he reached for a storage container beneath one of the cultivation tables. Inside, crystalline supplements used to fortify the soil's mineral content. "These are silicon-based growth enhancers. They should be compatible with your daughter's biochemistry." He watched as SH Kara's secondary eyelids flicked across her eyes, processing, analyzing. Her species saw into the infrared spectrum, could literally read the thermal signature of sincerity. "You understand our physiology," she said slowly. "My daughter does. I just listen when she talks." Lucas poured a measured amount of the crystalline supplement into a sealed container. "Mix this with distilled water," at a 1:10 ratio. Should stabilize her silicon matrix within 6 hours. Kara reached for the container, her three-fingered hand trembling slightly. I have no credits on this station. No way to compensate. Consider it an investment, Lucas interrupted. Though I'll take those 2 kilograms of potatoes as collateral. For the records. Understanding flickered across Kara's features. He was offering her dignity, a transaction rather than charity. You are not what I expected, human. Most people aren't, once you get past the assumptions. Lucas handed her the container along with a sack of potatoes. The Water Reclamation Station 2 sections over has a Xena-compatible dispenser. Access code 7-7 Alpha 3. What? The question emerged with genuine confusion. Your species has no obligation to mine. Lucas glanced at the juvenile dragon, now watching him with eyes that glowed faintly in the dome's artificial light. He thought again of Luna, of the future she fought for, one where questions like Kara's wouldn't need asking. Because someone has to start, he said simply. Otherwise, we're all just strangers dividing potatoes. As Kara departed, the juvenile's crest brightened to a healthy luminescence. Lucas returned to his work. The station's AI would flag the inventory discrepancy. There would be questions, possibly sanctions. But watching the dragon mother navigate the corridors with renewed hope, her child already perking up from the promise of treatment, Lucas decided some protocols were worth breaking. After all, Luna always said that hard science meant nothing without the harder choice to see others as equally deserving of its benefits. The potatoes could be replanted. Trust, once seeded, might actually grow.